The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
I've been a client of Dan White for many, many years, financial planner specializing in retirement income. And, he and I, we have conversations off the air as well as on the air Wednesdays after the news at 1:30, just like he does with other clients, many of whom become friends, but they call him too, and he just gives them advice, and they have conversations, stuff like that. Dan's on the phone right now with some tips for you. And, Dan, I do appreciate our conversations last year. I used to be 80% in the stock market as of the beginning of this year, at 20%. And I'm very, very uncertain as what's going to happen the rest of this year. I know that there's some companies that have had gains and such, but I think one of the beauties of working with you is that you put a lot of us into accounts that are not negatively affected by whatever happens with the Fed right now in the stock market. So thanks, Dan. I appreciate that.
That's no problem, Rick. As my mother always said, you got to hope for the best, but you got to plan for the worst.
So what are you hearing now from advisors you listen to?
Well, there's a lot of headwinds out there. The market, we all know the Fed is starting a rate hiking cycle. And coincidentally enough, they've hiked rates 12 times since 1950. They've gone on 12 of these rate hiking cycles. And 11 of those 12 times, they have sent the economy into a recession. So they have a pretty outstanding track record.
Yeah.
We kind of know that's coming down the road. The other thing to keep a watch on, which has a 12 out of 12 track record, is an inverted yield curve. So you got to keep track of the 10-year Treasury and the 2-year Treasury. And as we speak, I think I looked at it this morning, they're about 13 basis points apart. So the 10-year, I think, was about 2.47, and the 2-year was about 2.34. When they invert, when the 2-year is yielding more than the 10-year, 12 out of 12 times, the stock market has entered into a correction territory. So they're the two things you got to look at. And then, of course, we got Russia and Ukraine. And, there's just a lot of, like I said, a lot of headwinds out there, and the market likes stability. And right now, there's a lot of things that are upsetting that stability.
Yeah, plus more printing of money, and it means more inflation as well. You sent me an email today I thought was brilliant because I have no idea what this means, but it was, at all, and this is like the greatest way to get someone's attention, Dan. You did a great job. And, folks, this is what Dan sent me. He said, 1,512,350 is the new 1,362,800. And I thought, huh?
Well, here's what I was referring to, Rick. As you know, we always try to protect people's retirement assets. We think that they have to be in a little safer position because the government at some point is going to make you spend it. But we've also, over the years, fielded questions from people, is my IRA protected? What if I go, get sued, or what if I have to file for bankruptcy? Well, when you file for bankruptcy, one thing you usually don't have to worry about is protecting your IRA funds from any creditors. That's because in just about every case, all of your IRA and Roth IRA monies are off limits. Under the federal bankruptcy law, IRA assets up to a certain dollar limit cannot be touched by creditors, and that dollar limit is indexed every 3 years based on the cost of living. The current limit, as you mentioned, is $1,362,800, but on April 1st it goes up to $1,512,350, and it'll stay at that limit until March 31st of 2025. So it's for 3 years, and that's especially generous because that does not take into account rollovers from employer plans like 401k plans. Those rolled over dollars are always fully protected. So only IRA contributions themselves and earnings on those contributions are taken into account. And since IRAs did not become available until 1975, and we're both old enough, we remember back then, what were you allowed to put in? $2,000, right? It would be a pretty rare case for someone to have amassed over $1.5 million from just IRA contributions and earnings alone. So for all intents and purposes, your IRAs are off limits from a bankruptcy proceeding.
Yeah, and with the value of the dollar shrinking every time inflation goes up, the more and more money you need to retire comfortably, and yet it's more and more challenging to do that, whether in the markets or in Treasury bills or anything else. So
yeah, it does become more difficult. That's for sure.
Well, that's why I got you. Seriously, dude, if you and I had not had conversations on the air as well as off the air last year, I would likely be looking at my individual IRA rollovers from 401ks and weeping. Seriously.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I'm playing it kind of safe right now. I know that there are people I know who are almost like day traders. They're looking at certain companies and stocks, and whether it's the companies that engage in the profits of war or some other businesses as well. But they're looking at those things, thinking, okay, are there any short-term profits right now? And I think, okay, that's great if you got the time for that. But right now, I don't know. I mean, Dan, does it make sense to be sitting on the sidelines now, or is that just always an individual choice?
I mean, it is an individual choice, Rick. But you're going to sleep better at night when you don't worry about your money. And today, like I said, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and not all of them are positive in regards to the stock market. I mean, could it go up? Yeah, we might see another push higher, but it's down for the year. It's recovered a little bit, but we're still down about 4% for the year on the S&P. And we don't know what's coming down the line. We don't know what's happening over in Europe. And again, the Fed has said they're raising rates 7 times this year, and we don't know if they're going to do quarter points, half points, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
All right, gosh, I'd like to say thank you, and I appreciate that, but I can't bring myself to lie. No, look. Even bad information. Well, not bad information, but even information that's not sunshine and roses and hey, invest in this and that. It's good information to have. It is meaningful and necessary. I appreciate that.
Well, the good news is if you're going to get sued or you got to file bankruptcy, your IRA is probably safe.
Good to know. All right, have at it, kids. Go ahead, make someone angry. Sunday mornings. You host On the Money with Dan White, 7 a.m. on Sundays. A little coffee and bagel with nice little schmear of cream cheese. What's on the table this morning? Sunday morning, rather.
This Sunday, it's kind of interesting. Now we're talking about RMDs this Sunday, and in particular on these inherited accounts. And the IRS, in their infinite wisdom, they're just going to make things so much more complicated. They came out with some proposed regulations about a week ago on these inherited IRAs, and again, they changed the whole game after the Secure Act, and we thought we knew how they were going to interpret it, and now they're coming out with some proposed regulations that are going to make it extremely, extremely confusing. So we're going to try to dig into that and tell people, how it may work, and if they come down the line, there's going to be some changes into inherited IRAs.
Okay, so the required minimum distributions, money you got to take out of it because the government says, hey, you've had that too long. It's time for us to get our piece of that. Dan White, On the Money, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. You can always give him a call at 888-690-8820, 888-690-8820. He'd love to hear from you. Have a chat about, your retirement and your situation. And you can Google Dan White and Associates. Dan, thanks so much, man.
Have a great day, Rick.
No, wait. We can't end the conversation like that because you know what time of year it is.
You're going.
You know where I'm going. Where is it going?
Yep, and I'll tell you, they look pretty good, the Phils. They're going to score a lot of runs. They just added a couple big bats to the lineup, so they will score runs. My concern is they may not be able to catch a cold. So I think you're going to see a lot of 9-8 and 10-9 ball games and the way baseball is slowed down, the games might not get over till 11, 12 o'clock at night. But it should be fun. If you like a lot of runs, I think the Phils are going to score a lot of runs this year.
And you'll hear him here on WDEL. Dan caught me. I was going to say go Phils. Wrap it up during the season. All right, pal. Be well. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, Pat. Hey, take care. Go Phils.